Before we had modern psychology or industrial engineering, early researchers, referred to as alchemists, used a two-word shorthand for maintenance: solve et coagula. It translates into dissolve and coagulate, or in the language of the Rust Belt, take it apart and put it back together. These early observers realized that you can't fix a problem while it is still running at full tilt. If you have a block of lead, you can't turn it into gold just by painting the surface. You have to break it down. You have to dissolve it until it is a liquid, until it has no shape, no ego, and no history. Only then can you rebuild it into something functional. We spend our whole lives trying to tweak our routines while we are still running at 80 miles per hour. But sometimes the machine is too far gone for a tune-up. Sometimes the only way to save the part is to throw the whole thing into the acid. Welcome back to the Simple Tapes. This is your friend Vinny. It's Sunday here in the Rust Belt. I'm looking at an old pipe wrench on my father's workbench. It's covered in 30 years of rust, grit, and old grease. I could try to scrub it with a wire brush, but I'd just be scratching the surface. Literally. Welcome back to the lab. Last week, we found the glow in the dirt. This week, we're looking at the method of dissolution. We're talking about the rust bath. We're talking about why you have to lose yourself before you can find your soul in the pure sense of the word. In chemistry, this process is called solvation. In the Rust Belt, we just call it degreasing. When a mechanical part is too corroded to move, you don't keep forcing the gears. You drop it into a vat of solvent. You let the chemistry eat away everything that is not the base metal. We are all covered in a layer of identity rust. This rust is not you. It is the job title, the social media profile, and the overachiever, overthinker mask you wear to keep people from seeing how tired you are. These are just things that have oxidized on top of your personality over the years. To be clear, I am not interested in turning lead into gold. I am interested in turning a high-stress identity back into a functional human being. That is the only transmutation that matters in this lab. For those early researchers, solve et coagula was just a maintenance cycle for the spirit. It means break the identity to save the person. Think about how we restore a classic car. You find a 1969 Mustang sitting in a barn. It is a disaster. You don't simply just put a new battery in it and try to pull onto the highway. It's just going to break down before you get to merge onto the highway. The first thing a real restorer does is to tear down. They take every single nut, bolt, and gasket apart. They label them, then they take the entire steel frame of the car and submerge it in a massive vat of chemical stripper. In the industry, they call it dipping the shell. They let the frame sit in that acid bath until every layer of old paint and every fleck of rust is dissolved. For a few weeks, the car disappears. It is not a car anymore. It is just 1,000 parts spread out on a concrete floor and a bare frame sitting in that tank. It has been dissolved at this point. If you skip the teardown, if you just paint over the rust, the car might look good for a month, but the rust will always come back and overtake the paint. Most of us are just painting over the rust. We take a long weekend or buy a new planner, but we never do the teardown. We are afraid that if we submerge ourselves in the silence, if we take ourselves apart, we won't know how to put the pieces back together. I'll admit, I myself was terrified of that teardown. I spent years building a version of myself that looked good on a business card and resume. I was an instructor. I was a grad student. On paper, that sounded like a success story. But in reality, those titles started to feel like heavy iron plates bolted to my chest, rusting over. I felt like if I stopped being the smart one or the expert, I would simply stop existing. Maybe your rust is different. Maybe you are the reliable one at the office, the strong and active one at the warehouse, or the one who has it all together for your family. We all have these labels. We think they are our strengths, but eventually they start to act like rust. They keep us rigid. They make it hard to move or breathe. I had to learn how to dissolve. I had to spend time being absolutely nobody. I had to sit in the acid of boredom and silence until the instructor, the grad student, and other identity rust melted away, then dissolved, and just Vinny, the steel frame, was left. It was painful to lose my shape. It felt like I was losing my value as a person. But I realized that the rust was not the metal. The title was not the man. It is the only way to get rid of the rust. So here's my challenge to you this week. Practice a mini dissolution. Find one area of your life where you are over-identified. Maybe it is your reputation for being the reliable one or the expert. This week, take that part off the machine. If you are the productive one, be intentionally unproductive for an hour. If you are the expert, spend a day asking questions you already know the answer to and question those answers themselves. Throw your ego into the rust bath. Let the solvent eat away the titles and the expectation. Don't worry about rebuilding yet. That is for later. For now, just focus on solve. Focus on dissolving. Just focus on being raw steel. You aren't breaking. You are being disassembled for restoration. Trust the chemistry. Let me repeat. You aren't breaking. You are being disassembled for restoration. And hey, one small thing before you go. I have a jar of old pennies on my nightstand. Most of them are brown and dull. Rest in peace to the pennies. But if I had dropped one into a glass of vinegar and salt, the dullness disappears in seconds. It becomes bright copper again. It didn't become new. It just stopped being dirty. The gold is already under the rust. Till next week, this is your friend Vinny. Keep it ordinary, keep it simple.